Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into some of the most powerful life lessons from one of my favorite writers, Morgan Housel. You might know him from his blockbuster book, The Psychology of Money, but his essays are just packed with these incredible nuggets of wisdom that go way beyond just finance. They're about life, decision-making, and understanding the weird, wonderful, and often irrational way our brains work. So, grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's explore some ideas that might just change the way you see the world. One of the first big ideas from Housel is the concept of long tails. It's the idea that most of what happens in life, the big, game-changing events, are driven by a tiny handful of outlier moments. Think about your own life. How many days are truly unforgettable? How many decisions have had a disproportionate impact on where you are today? It's probably just a few. The same is true in business, investing, and even history. Amazon's success isn't about thousands of mediocre products. It's driven by a few massive winners like Oz and Prime. In our own lives, we might make 1,000 small decisions that don't matter much. But then we meet one person, or take one job, or read one book that changes everything. The lesson here is to not get bogged down by the daily noise. Instead, position yourself to be open to those rare, high-impact opportunities. You can't predict when they'll show up, but you can create an environment where you're more likely to catch one when it does. Another huge theme in Housel's work is the difference between being rich and being wealthy. This one really hit home for me. Being rich is about your current income. It's visible. It's the fancy car, the big house, the expensive watch. It's a number on a paycheck. But wealth is different. Wealth is what you don't see. It's the money you haven't spent. It's the investments quietly compounding in the background. It's the financial assets that give you freedom, flexibility, and control over your time. Housel says wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. That's the real goal. So many people focus on looking rich, spending money to show others they have it. But true wealth is quiet. It's about having options, not just possessions. It's a powerful mindset shift. Instead of asking, how can I get a bigger paycheck? Maybe the better question is, how can I increase the gap between what I earn and what I spend so I can build true, unseen wealth? This leads perfectly into another one of his brilliant insights, the power of enough. In a world that constantly screams more, the concept of enough is a superpower. Housel points out that the hardest financial skill is getting the goalposts to stop moving. There are so many stories of people who had it all: fame, fortune, power, and lost everything because they couldn't stop reaching for more. They took insane risks they didn't need to take, just to get that little bit extra. It's the social comparison trap. We see someone with more, and suddenly what we have doesn't feel like enough. But if you can define your own enough, you can step off that hamster wheel. It doesn't mean you stop having ambition. It just means your ambition isn't driven by what others are doing. It's about finding a level of comfort and security that allows you to be happy, and then protecting it fiercely. Knowing when you've won the game is more important than trying to score more points forever. Let's talk about risk and luck. Housel argues that we dramatically underestimate the role of both in life. When we succeed, we tend to attribute it all to our own skill and genius. When we fail, we blame bad luck or external factors. The truth is, success is almost always a combination of hard work and good fortune. And failure is often a mix of mistakes and bad luck. The world is just too complex and chaotic for any single outcome to be 100% your own doing. Recognizing this is incredibly humbling. It makes you more forgiving of your own failures and less judgmental of others. It also helps you focus on what you can actually control. You can't control if you get lucky, but you can control your savings rate. You can control how much you learn. You can control your behavior. As Housel puts it, focus on the process, not just the individual outcomes, because the outcomes are often out of your hands. Another powerful idea is what Housel calls man in the car paradox. You see someone driving a Ferrari and you think, wow, if I had that car, people would think I'm so cool. But when you actually see the Ferrari, you don't think about the driver. You think about yourself. You imagine yourself in the car. The driver is just a faceless figure. The paradox is that people often buy expensive things thinking it will earn them respect and admiration from others. But those other people are often too busy using your possessions as a benchmark for their own desires. It's a futile game. The real path to being respected isn't through what you own, but through kindness, humility, and generosity. People are more impressed by how you treat them than by the brand of your watch. It's a simple truth, but one we so often forget in our consumer-driven society. Let's switch gears to storytelling. Housel emphasizes that the best stories win. Humans are wired for narrative. We don't just want data and facts, we want a compelling story that makes sense of the world. This is why a company with a great story can have a higher valuation than a company with better numbers. It's why a political candidate with a simple, powerful narrative can beat one with complex, detailed policies. The world is messy and complicated, and stories help us simplify it. The lesson here is twofold. First, be aware of the stories you're being told. Are they accurate? Or are they just appealing because they're simple and emotionally resonant? Second, learn to be a better storyteller yourself. Whether you're trying to get a job, sell a product, or convince your kids to eat their vegetables, framing your message in a compelling narrative is one of the most effective tools you have. And what about dealing with change? Housel often writes about the importance of being reasonable instead of being cold hard rational. Purely rational decisions, on paper, might look perfect, but we're not robots. We're emotional, messy human beings. A financial plan that is mathematically optimal, but causes you to lose sleep every night, is not a good plan. You're more likely to abandon it at the worst possible moment. It is better to have a good enough plan that you can actually stick with for the long haul. Be reasonable with yourself. Acknowledge that you have fears, biases, and emotions. Build a strategy for your life and your finances that accounts for your humanity, rather than one that pretends it doesn't exist. The best plan is the one you'll actually follow through with, especially when things get tough. Finally, one of the most enduring lessons from Housel is the idea that the things that never change are more important than the things that do. We are obsessed with what's new, what's next, the latest trend, the newest technology. But the fundamentals of human behavior, greed, fear, tribalism, our desire for security and love, those things haven't changed in thousands of years, and they're not likely to change anytime soon. If you want to understand the future, don't just read about AI and blockchain. Read history, read psychology, understand the timeless drivers of human behavior, because while the tools and technologies will change, the people using them will be motivated by the same old desires and fears. Understanding this gives you a kind of bedrock knowledge that is far more durable than knowing the latest hot stock tip. So, to wrap it all up, focus on building unseen wealth, not just looking rich. Define your own enough and get the goalposts to stop moving. Understand that outliers drive everything, and position yourself for luck. Remember that no one is as impressed with your stuff as you are. Be reasonable, not just rational, and stick with a plan you can live with. And finally, study the things that never change, because human nature is the most constant force in the universe. Morgan Housel's work is a treasure trove of wisdom, and I really hope these ideas have given you something to think about. Thanks so much for watching today. If you enjoyed this and want more deep dives into powerful ideas, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss the next video. Let me know in the comments which of these lessons resonated with you the most. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, take care.